Well, the GFC may have been a hurdle for the Australian economy. Demand for accountants and auditors, on the other hand, was not stopped growing. According to the latest Claris Skills Index, the industry has a shortage of almost 4,000 professionals, and this is more than double the shortage recorded in the March quarter. So does the increase in demand reflect a desire post-GFC to make sure a company's books balance? My next guest, Paul Barber, Executive General Manager at Lloyd Morgan, certainly thinks so. Paul, look, thanks very much for coming on this morning. Before we get to the Claris Skills Index, Lloyd Morgan, gives a little bit of background to it.
Well, look, Lloyd Morgan is a recruitment firm that specialises only in the placement of accountants and financial services professionals, and we did it deliberately because they're a finicky bunch. They like talking to people that understand their language, they like talking to people that understand what their requirements are, and they like understanding what clients look for when you are recruiting for it. So we deliberately went about setting ourselves up.
Look, and the market, I mean, is it a growing market? Have you found that just going down the road of that niche has been successful?
It's been phenomenal, and it's been phenomenal on the basis that accountants actually do want to deal with their own kind, if you like, and specialists like dealing with specialists, we've found. So we've seen substantial growth over the 4 years that we've decided to be a very niche provider. We've seen growth in all different levels. I'll talk a bit more about what the index has found later, but certainly in the mid-section where qualified accountants are hard to find, we found a substantial amount of growth. So it's been really, really positive from our perspective to specialise in a sector.
Let's bring in, I suppose, the Claris Skills Index. We were having a quick chat about it before. I mean, what has it shown? I mean, what have you taken from it?
Look, there's a lot of negativity in the marketplace driven by sentiment offshore, be it China and its stabilising growth, the America's rebound not being as strong, and obviously parts of Europe continuing to show instability. Our takeout for the second consecutive month is that there's been increased demand. I mean, this quarter we've seen a doubling of demand of accountants. So that's really positive news. So I've got a really positive feel for the market despite the negative sentiment. And we often find that there is a difference between what is real and what's perceived. The vast majority of our clients, particularly in the West, but by virtue of that market, also the drain in the eastern seaboard states, is that they still have requirements and the demand is still very strong. They're just cautious about when to engage people because of the constant negativity that's being promoted across, the landscape of the employment market. Surprised
by the level of demand, and I mean, do you think it's a consequence almost of the negativity out there? People think, Jesus, we better get this straight if we're going to start going through these sort of tough times.
Yeah, I think so. I've been really surprised, to be perfectly candid with you, but surprised in a very positive way. We still see in Australia good corporate governance, which is one of the reasons why accountants are in such high demand. The extent to which accountants are exposed in terms of how they report information, when they report information, to whom they report the information, is significantly more onerous than it ever has been. So that doesn't surprise me that accountant requirements have increased, because it's no longer a bean counting job. It's no longer the guy that sits in a corner, with the armbands on and the calculator balancing books. It's far more strategic. It's become a sexy profession, really.
Well, in that, I mean, are you seeing particular areas of accountancy that are having more demand than others? Because it's a rather broad brush these days.
Three, really. At the lower end, or the entry level, if you like, management accountants. I mean, the way in which organisations want to see information, when they want to see information, how they want to look at the liquidity of their infrastructures, how they can price projects, whether their books are balancing appropriately, and therefore how they fund infrastructure advancements. That's one area that we've seen growth. Auditing, obviously. I mean, companies are increasingly becoming nervous about the landscape in which we operate, so auditors have seen a growth. And really the most surprising of all has been at the executive level, CFOs. If you're a good CFO and have got a good commercial acumen and a business brain, well, I mean, CFO may not actually be the top of the tree for you. There could be another role with the E in the middle of it that you could actually apply for and be successful with.
And I mean, in terms of outlook, do you see it continuing, and particularly in some of those niche areas or some of those upper level management areas? Is the outlook positive?
Well, the outlook in this quarter was that we've increased. We've gone to a very high in terms of a demand for accountants, and we have forecasted that out until 2017. And what we found is that demand will exist until 2017. I mean, it's always difficult to wave a magic wand and look at what markets will be doing in 5 years, but in theory, and based on the evidence that we've seen, we don't see any slowdown in demand for accounting professionals, which is great news if you have studied accounting.
Looking to get into accounting. Paul, thanks very much for coming in. Fascinating.
Thanks very much.